It's 4 o'clock. The top stories live on 7 News. Drugs, booze, holidays and gifts rorted from the NDIS and paid for with your taxes. P&O sails into the sunset. The cruise brand shut down, impacting passenger plans. And 18 Tillies booked their tickets to Paris. Our Olympic squad unveiled.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Angela Cox.
Good afternoon. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is being rorted to the tune of more than $2 billion, exploited by dodgy participants claiming on drugs, alcohol, holidays and cars. Live now to Josh Martin in Canberra. Josh, it's an outrageous misuse of taxpayer funds.
And it's around 5% of the scheme's $40 billion budget. These sensational revelations were made in Senate estimates. The head of fraud at the NDIS telling politicians they are catching participants and providers claiming for ice, speed, heroin, cocaine, as well as $20,000 holidays and $70,000 cars. An admission that this taxpayer-funded scheme has been infiltrated by organised crime.
There are some providers that are really just fraudsters and criminal syndicates. And there are participants where they may be claiming things that they shouldn't. Just in the last week, a $20,000 holiday, a $10,000 holiday. We had a participant that bought a car, brand new, $73,000.
What types of illicit substances are being trafficked or sold?
You name it, it's on the list.
So heroin, cocaine, speed, ice, everything.
And these are providers that are there to do harm.
And stunning revelations there, and the opposition seized on them in question time this afternoon, asking NDIS Minister Bill Shorten what he and his department are doing to stop the fraud that's taking place. He says the agency is cracking down. Currently, there are 500 compliance matters being looked into, 222 active investigations, 20 prosecutions, and 12 matters sitting with the Department of Prosecutions. Take a listen.
Why has the Minister allowed illegal drugs to be trafficked to Australia's most vulnerable and paid for by taxpayers under the scheme that you designed?
Anyone claiming items which are not allowed under the scheme, it is illegal. We're doing something about fixing up the scheme. You did nothing.
And 666,000 Australians use the NDIS, a majority of them for genuine disability needs, but these 5% doing the wrong thing need to be weeded out and weeded out quickly.
Absolutely. Josh Martin in Parliament House. Thank you. The cruise industry is experiencing a shake-up with the end of the P&O brand. It's upset loyal passengers who are wondering this afternoon what will change on their favourite vessels. Steve Hart has more.
Yes, for many cruise goers today, this is very sad news. The P&O brand will be no more into the new year. And for many, the P&O brand is synonymous with great value and a typical Aussie style of cruising.
Oh, no. I absolutely didn't know that. I'm so upset.
Sorry?
Oh. P&O is going out.
Oh.
The service they provide, the price, the range of places you go to, it's been great. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what's going to happen now.
P&O's parent company, Carnival Cruise Lines, the boss of Carnival flew into Australia from America this morning to break the news to staff first of all. What does it mean for them? Well, even they don't know yet. What we do know is that 2 of P&O's cruise ships will continue under the Carnival brand, but the one behind me here, the Pacific Explorer, will be retired. The Carnival boss says that the way that costs are at the moment is just too great to continue the way they have been, and so it'll be a slimmed down operation, but still they are promising nonetheless there will be great experiences to be had for all cruise goers. Is business as usual, they've told their P&O staff, for at least the next 6 months or so. And for those cruise goers here in Brisbane who are about to board the Explorer, well, they're going to make the most of what could be their very last time on this ship.
A man has this afternoon been charged with the murder of a surfer in Coffs Harbour. Kai Schaefer was found with stab wounds shortly after leaving the water last month. The 21-year-old died in hospital. Today, Strike Force detectives went to a jail where they arrested a 36-year-old man.
It looks like it was unprovoked, had not met him before. That encounter on that morning ended in a senseless act of violence causing Kai's death. The
accused was refused bail and is fronting court today. A man is in a critical condition in hospital this afternoon after he was allegedly bashed inside a motel room in Windsor. The 27-year-old suffered severe head injuries in the assault early this morning. A 53-year-old man has spent today being questioned by police. The Matildas have named their team for the Paris Olympics, and there are plenty of familiar faces in the squad. But one 19-year veteran of the side has missed out, as Chris Reason reports.
Good afternoon. Well, for some jubilation, others heartache, but this is a team with extraordinary depth. 8 of the 18 players in the squad have been to 3 Olympics previously. That is an Olympic milestone. We're going to be captained by Steph Catley, vice-captains Emily Van Egmond, Ellie Carpenter, no Sam Kerr, of course, but a list of familiar faces, including Mackenzie Arnold, Caitlin Ford, Alana Kennedy, Claire Polkinghorne, Tamika Yallop, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Mary Fowler, Hayley Rasso, also Katrina Gorry going along, a gamble with an ankle injury. She hasn't played since the World Cup last year. Let's quickly listen to both the coach and the captain.
It's been an emotional week, of course, but right now, today, I feel very excited.
A very familiar team, but yeah, I think the way we've been playing over the last year or so, we're in a really good place.
There were important omissions though. Charlotte Grant and Lydia Williams both dropped officially from the squad. They will still be going to Paris as part of a small subset of 4 players on standby in case of emergency. But that means that for Lydia, last night was most likely her final game for the Matildas after a 19-year career with the national team. It was an emotional farewell and send-off for her here at Sydney Olympic Park, and a 2-0 victory against China, the perfect springboard for the girls to go off to Paris, but their work is cut out for them. They're ranked 9 of the 12 teams going to the Olympics, but they say they have a medal in their sights.
Angie Asimus joins us with the latest on Sydney's weather. Angie, plenty of sunshine today.
And lots of blue in the sky today, although quite chilly with those continual westerly winds. That wind pattern also helping to create this striking cloud formation over Sydney earlier. Known as gravity waves, these long clouds develop as air rises, cools and condenses as it goes over the mountains and then warms on the way down. That rise and fall creating the elongated shape. Temperatures were fairly close to the June average, a low of 9 degrees in the CBD, followed by a top of 18, although it felt a few degrees cooler than that in the wind chill. Some high cloud is developing over New South Wales now. That's not rain-bearing at this stage. Daytime temperatures are cool inland, 11 degrees at Wilcannia, top of 12 for Broken Hill and Mudgee, 9 for Goulburn, while coastal temperatures are milder, 19 degrees at Bega and a top of 20 for Port Macquarie. The clouds will bring some wet weather in the coming days. Details on all of this rain is going to arrive a little bit later in the bulletin, Ange.
Okay, thanks so much, Angie. Still to come, yogis in greater demand than tradies, according to a list of high-priority skilled migrants. Stormy Daniels dishes out marriage advice to Melania Trump after her husband's conviction. And the concerning number of harmful ads bombarding our kids online with long-term dangers.
Tonight, NDIS rorts exposed, claims that money's being used to buy drugs, alcohol and holidays. The Sydney school under fire over an anti-Captain Cook song. Cruises cancelled, the end of an era for an iconic brand. Stadium transformation as Sydney gears up for Origin. And superhuman robots that could change the world. That's at 6.
Live across Sydney, you're watching 7's Afternoon News. Right now in Blacktown, it is 16 degrees. Yogis, dog trainers and martial art teachers are in higher demand than tradies, according to a draft priority list of skilled migrants written by an independent government body. Painters, tilers, bricklayers and stonemasons weren't categorised as workers considered urgently needed, despite Labor's plans to build 1.2 million new homes in the next 5 years.
We are incredibly perplexed as to why most of the trades that we need to build 1.2 million homes are not on the definite list for skilled migration. It does not make any sense.
Housing advocates say 500,000 extra workers are needed in the sector if the government is to meet its construction goals. The former adult film star who says she had a one-night stand with Donald Trump has urged his wife Melania to divorce him, not because he cheated, but because he's a convicted criminal. Here's US correspondent Miley Hogan.
Wanted or not, Stormy Daniels has offered her advice to the former First Lady, urging Melania Trump to leave her husband, saying that Melania should ditch him not because of his alleged affair, but because he is a convicted felon. It's the first time Stormy Daniels has spoken out since the former president's guilty verdict, speaking exclusively to a British newspaper.
And I'm not going to sit here and assume that any of us know what their agreement may or may not have been.
Should she leave him?
Yeah.
On the grounds of?
He's a convicted felon? Sleeping around or like having an open marriage. I'm not saying they did or didn't because I don't know. None of us know. She could have a hot pool boy locked up in the garage for all we know.
Last week, Donald Trump was found guilty of covering up a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. The money to keep her quiet about an alleged affair, a sexual encounter the former president denies.
I'm obviously glad of the verdict because in a way it also proves that I was telling the truth, that I was not paid for sex. You know, it was not a prostitution job.
Melania Trump did not attend any of the 7-week trial, the former president revealing the case has been hard on her and his family. The jury's verdict marked the first ever criminal conviction of a former US president. Donald Trump has vowed to appeal.
A jury has been selected in Hunter Biden's federal firearms case. The son of the US president denies allegations he lied about his drug use on application forms when he purchased a handgun in 2018. First Lady Jill Biden spent part of her birthday in court with him. Joe Biden wasn't there, but in a statement said he has boundless love for the 54-year-old. Opening statements begin tomorrow, with the trial expected to last a fortnight. New research has revealed the harmful marketing Australian children are exposed to on social media. Teenagers between 14 and 17 see an average of 6 alcohol ads a day, according to Deakin University. Kids between 8 and 13 years old were targeted with more than a dozen junk food ads. Professor Catherine Backola joins us now from Canberra. Professor, what are the long-term impacts of early exposure to ads like these?
We know that when kids are exposed to these harmful ads, that they are more likely to purchase these products, to engage with these products, which set them up for a lifetime of disease and death right across the life course.
So the social media sites, they would deny that these ads are deliberately targeted. Do you believe that?
Well, no, our study has shown that kids under the age of 18, 13 to 16-year-olds are being targeted with alcohol ads, and this goes against the industry codes of conduct that we have here in Australia. We know that they're being bombarded with junk food ads, so we've got good evidence now that kids are seeing these harmful ads online.
So what more would you like the government to do?
Well, I think as a society we need to have a really good think about what online environment we want for our kids. We have the Privacy Act being reviewed at the moment by our governments. We've got online safety. We've got governments looking at the gambling, online marketing, food marketing, and we want governments to really think about what is the best way that we can protect our children when they're online.
We've already seen the federal government is at loggerheads with the social media giants about their content. Is there any message you would have for Meta, for Facebook, Instagram?
I mean, across the world, we've got governments dealing with social media companies and really understanding the harms that these platforms are causing. And this is why, these platforms have a conflict of interest. They make money from delivering these harmful ads. They make money from kids engaging with certain content. And so we really want governments to step up and take action and take it away from the social media platforms so that we're not relying on them to protect our children.
Okay, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Professor Catherine Backola.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Next in 7's Afternoon News Sport with Mel McLaughlin, including why the new Blues captain is incapable of hating the Maroons. Alex de Minaur emulates his idol Leighton Hewitt at the French Open with a 20-year Aussie first. And later, mental health advocates critical of funding to fill cracks in our mental health system after the Bondi Junction massacre.
On 7 News, from science fiction to science fact.
This technology could change the world.
Just look what they've been building.
The market for robotics is absolutely exploding at the moment.
You won't believe what they can do now.
And there's huge advances in technology.
On 7 News with Mark Ferguson at 6.
Mel McLaughlin's here now with Sport. And Mel, the new Blues captain might just be the nicest man in rugby league.
Yeah, I think so, Ange. Jake Trbojevic just can't bring himself to embrace the hate of State of Origin before tomorrow night's series opener. Both coaches held their pre-game media conferences this morning with a spotlight on James Tedesco and Selwyn Cobbo. Here's Jaleesa Apps.
Well, the Blues are completing their final preparations before tomorrow's game. Now, their training session today is closed to the media, but what we could see was a pretty relaxed side making their way to that training session, considering they have had a pretty disrupted preparation with Dylan Edwards out of the side with injury and James Tedesco coming in.
For a replacement, to be able to have someone like that to be able to come in, and he trained yesterday, so he's been in for a while.
Unsurprisingly, the nicest man in rugby league, Jake Trbojevic, refuses to say he hates Queensland, but he's certainly wanting to win in his first outing as the Blues captain.
I don't have any messages of hate. We're just going to go out and compete really hard tomorrow night, and we're going to do New South Wales proud.
Now, there had been some speculation that Michael Maguire would move Matt Burton into the side, but he insists he's very settled with the team that he's named.
I'm really confident with the 17 that I've got, and we've got a really good plan, and we practice that way.
Now, as for Queensland mystery, surrounds just how Billy Slater will use Selwyn Cobbo. He was, of course, named on the bench, but when it comes to the role he'll play, the coach is keeping his cards very close to his chest.
At the end of the day, you just want Selwyn Cobbo out on the field, and where that is, we've got a bit of an idea around that, but that might change as well.
Now, 80,000 fans will pack Accor Stadium tomorrow night in really good signs for the game. Both the men's and the women's State of Origin in Newcastle are sold out.
That is great news. Thanks, Jaleesa. Api Coruscant says Michael Maguire told him he wasn't in his plans for Origin 1 before the Blue squad was announced. The West Tigers skipper is at ease with his axing and will happily answer the call if needed later in the series.
You respect his decision. I think he picked a great team. I think he picked a really hard-working team, and I'm actually just excited to watch the boys get out tomorrow night. I'm just grateful that I got the opportunity back then, and my hand will always be up in case he ever needed me.
Coruscant brushed off criticism of Benji Marshall's bye-week getaway to Fiji, saying it made no sense. On an 8-game losing streak, the Tigers play the Dragons on Friday night. At age 35, Michelle Heyman will lead the line for the Matildas at the Paris Olympics in July. Heyman will fill the boots of injured captain Sam Kerr, completing her return from international retirement in 2019. Skipper Steph Catley is certain they can compete for gold.
We've been to 2 major tournaments now where we've finished 4th, and there's definitely something within us that wants something tangible to take out of this whole experience.
Katrina Gorry was selected while still recovering from ankle surgery. Charlie Grant will travel as one of 4 reserves, along with Lydia Williams, who was given a rousing farewell before and during last night's 2-0 win over China, sealed by Hayley Rasso. There was fierce interest from rival clubs, but Sam Taylor says he never contemplated leaving the Giants. One of the AFL's best key defenders, Taylor's new contract will keep him in Sydney until at least the end of 2032.
Win a flag, that's the ultimate goal, and we have a window, I reckon, of the next 5 years of reaching that goal.
Leads the right way, obviously plays the right way, but he'll only continue to improve in that space.
Callan Ward and Callum Brown return for Saturday afternoon's game against the Inform Hawks in Launceston. Alex de Minaur is the first Aussie man to reach the French Open quarterfinals since his hero and mentor Leighton Hewitt did it 20 years ago. The Demon notched his first Grand Slam win over a top 5 opponent, coming from a set down to eliminate 5th seed Daniil Medvedev in 4. He'll take on 4th seed Alexander Zverev for a spot in his first Slam semi.
I'm pretty happy, not going to lie. Managed to beat a quality opponent and in a Grand Slam 4th round, which is kind of the goals that I had been setting for myself.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic needed 5 sets for the second time in as many matches, sneaking past Francisco Cerundolo. Cam Davis had no idea he was about to end Adam Scott's streak of 91 straight majors when the 2 Aussies went head-to-head in a playoff at US Open qualifying today. The 29-year-old from Sydney beat his hero on the second extra hole, then found out about Scott's streak.
Damn, it just goes to show how good a player he is. He's been an idol of mine. It was great to play great golf against him.
Ranked world number 60, Scott could get a reprieve into the field at Pinehurst if there is a withdrawal. So it's pretty harsh. So some Aussie has to miss out. But speaking of the Aussies, last night, very special with the Matildas. Freezing cold, no one complaining, great atmosphere, and the Olympics are a very exciting prospect now.
Exactly, with the squad pick. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Anne.
This afternoon's top stories are next. Plus, the alleged killer of Charlize Mutton denies ever touching the schoolgirl's body. Ramsgate Public School reprimanded for playing a rap track at Morning Bell. And join our military and call Australia home, a jobs incentive for foreigners.
Nobody knows Sydney better than Fergo, Mel and Angie. 7 News. Nobody knows news better. Live from Sydney, 7 News with Angela Cox.
Welcome back. These are our top stories on 7. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is being rorted of more than $2 billion. Dodgy participants claiming on drugs, alcohol, holidays and cars. It's the end of an era for P&O, its parent company announcing it will be merged into Carnival Cruise Line. A man has been charged over the alleged murder of a surfer in Coffs Harbour last month. And Matildas coach Tony Gustafsson has unveiled his 18-player squad for the Paris Olympics. The man standing trial accused of murdering Charlize Mutton has denied ever touching her body. Justin Stein is spending a second day giving evidence and maintains the schoolgirl's mother, Callista Mutton, was the one who shot her twice, but that he disposed of the body. The 33-year-old was questioned as to why he bought 20 kilograms of sand, which was later found in the barrel by the Colo River containing the 9-year-old. A court heard he panicked and wanted to discard everything. Emergency crews have been back at the scene of a Western Sydney building explosion today after reports of a lingering smell of gas. A trainee nurse was killed in the blast on Saturday afternoon. Residents today saying her death could have been prevented. Annie Puller reports.
Good afternoon. It's been 3 days since this Housing Commission apartment block blew up, and residents here have told 7 News they've been left with more questions than answers. 74-year-old Hilmi, who was hospitalised with minor head injuries, said he became trapped in his unit as the ceiling caved in and heard the screams of a young woman believed to be 30-year-old May Jasmine, whose body was discovered yesterday beneath the rubble.
Please help, help, please. She's screaming, yelling. I wish I could have helped her.
The pensioner says he complained to his gas company, Gemina Energy, last year about the gas meter and his bill. Others say they did the same, but their concerns fell on deaf ears.
You'd make a complaint and you wouldn't hear anything. Brick wall.
The Department of Housing has received only 2 complaints about broken gas meters in the last 12 months. The gas company wouldn't comment, instead directing any questions to New South Wales Police on the matter.
Public housing maintenance is a significant concern to me. Maintenance calls are not being responded to quickly enough, call-outs are not happening quickly enough, work isn't being done quickly enough.
Police are still picking through the rubble here as investigators work to determine the cause of the blast and whether gas did play a role.
The state government is trying to fix cracks in our mental health system, announcing almost $112 million in funding. The spend in the upcoming budget follows the stabbing rampage at Bondi Junction, Westfield. Joel Cauchi, a schizophrenic who'd been sleeping rough, killed 6 people in the attack. The focus of the funding will be on complex care workers and community living initiatives. Professor Samuel Harvey, the Executive Director of the Black Dog Institute, joins me live. Thank you for joining us, Professor. Is this enough money to tackle the problem?
In short, no. It's a good start, and the type of things the government has spoken about spending money on in terms of boosting community mental health services for those with complex needs is exactly what is needed, but the quantum is a long way from what we know is needed. The government, in a report published last month, showed that we had nearly 60,000 people in New South Wales with complex mental health needs who aren't getting their care addressed by the current system. This isn't going to come close to fixing that. So it's a good first step, but we need many more, much bigger steps than this.
So in your mind, what do you see as the most pressing gaps in the system?
So the two things that we know are problematic is the quantum of funding that goes into mental health care in New South Wales. We've fallen behind the rest of the country in terms of the amount spent per capita. We have a situation where mental health's taking up 15% of health professionals' workload, but it's only getting 5% of the funding. This problem that's related to that is we just don't have the workforce we need in New South Wales to put into the roles we need. So we need the funding to create the roles, but we also need a plan to get the workforce there to actually fill these roles and give people the help they need.
So a parliamentary inquiry says care has become reactive and crisis-driven. Are these steps that you're talking about, would that help it make it more preventative?
Absolutely. You know, part of this is around what we as a society need to be doing to prevent the rising burden of mental health. We've got this extraordinary situation where people in New South Wales, we have more depression, more anxiety, more self-harm amongst young people than we've ever had before. And we need to be doing stuff in schools, in workplaces, in communities to try and address that and prevent it. But equally, when people come forward for help, anyone who's come forward to help knows there's often a wait list to see someone. And then when you see someone, once the acute situation is resolved, then they have to move on to the next crisis. And so the type of ongoing care that we need to keep people well, that cannot be provided in the system and the funding we've got at the moment. And that's what we need to fix urgently.
So we're talking about $112 million, still a lot of money. You're saying a drop in the ocean. What sort of money are we talking that you need to fix the system?
Well, let's put it in perspective. That $112 million equates to about 1% of the annual mental health budget here in New South Wales. What we've seen in other states in terms of making the real step forward, it needs to be a sum in the billions, not the millions, to try and fix the growing burden that we have around mental health across Australia, but here we're talking about New South Wales. And we know that the New South Wales government doesn't have a lot of money to spend on any initiatives at the moment. And one of the things we as a sector are saying is we need a lot more money to fix this problem, and we're going to have to look at novel ways to try and get new income streams that we can dedicate to mental health funding. And that's what other jurisdictions have done, and that's the sort of quantum of funding that's going to be needed to make a real difference. But, you know, the report today, it shows us the scale of the problem, but it also really demonstrates the opportunity. New South Wales has an opportunity now off the back of these findings, off the back of the Minns government acknowledging that we need more funding in the system, to actually set us up as the mental health state, as leading the world in mental health. But that's going to take time, and it's going to take money and political commitment to make happen.
OK, well, thanks so much for your time today, Professor Samuel Harvey.
Thank you.
As an incentive to join our Defence Force, citizenship would be fast-tracked for eligible foreigners who've lived in Australia for 12 months. The federal government is expanding its eligibility criteria because they're having trouble filling roles.
From 1 July, we'll be opening this up to permanent residents from New Zealand that have been here for a year, and then from 1 January, it will open up to Five Eyes countries and permanent residents from other countries.
Applicants have to pass security checks and can't have served in an overseas military in the past 2 years. It's hoped more than 350 personnel will join the ranks this coming financial year. The Immigration Minister's relationship with his department is under growing scrutiny this afternoon. Andrew Giles backtracking and admitting drones were never used to monitor released detainees. Political reporter Isabel Mullen with the details.
Well, it's one thing after another for the Immigration Minister at the moment. Andrew Giles conceding that drones aren't being used to monitor immigration detainees, despite previously claiming that they were. Now, it comes after the Australian Federal Police and also government insiders said they had no knowledge of drones being used in the program to monitor those 153 immigration detainees released after the High Court ruling. Andrew Giles did say in a TV interview last week that drones were being used. We asked his office on Friday. They insisted that he was right, only for the minister to backflip earlier this week, blaming his department for the mistake.
There has been a complete relationship breakdown between Minister Giles and his department. I don't think there is any trust between Minister Giles and his department.
I relied on information provided by my department at the time, which has since been clarified.
It's the latest embarrassment for Andrew Giles after it was revealed that dangerous foreign offenders, including a child rapist, dodged deportation under Direction 99, a direction that Minister Giles signed. He has now cancelled 30 of their visas.
The Education Department has been forced to apologise after a school in the city's south used a violent rap track as its school bell. The Indigenous protest song describes Captain Cook as a murderer and references white devils. Chris Marr reports.
Well, there's been a quick response by education officials today after it was revealed a violent rap song was being used as the school bell morning song here at Ramsgate Public School. Now, the rap song, with an Indigenous title meaning Fighting Boomerang by rapper Birds, includes violent lyrics, makes references to white devils and labels Captain Cook a murderer without a licence.
Any white devil wanna test my will, then he finna get burnt by the fire I feel.
At the Ramsgate Public School, not far from the shores of Botany Bay, the song has been played recently as children have been arriving for school. It came to attention this morning after a parent of one child raised concerns with the media.
We just had a traditional bell. I don't know what you guys did, so maybe we go back to bells.
The Education Minister, Prue Carr, promised to intervene. The Education Department has since apologised and says it's counselled the school's leadership, which it says used the song to mark Reconciliation Week.
Schools are not places for things like that. Anything that creates any sort of division we can't have in our schools.
The song has been removed from the school playlist. Now, the incident has prompted the Education Department to remind principals across the state about their professional duties when it comes to using school resources, including school bell songs.
Votes are being counted in India this afternoon after a staggering 7-week poll. More than 642 million ballots were cast in the world's largest election ever. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on track to win despite a slip in support for his Nationalist Party. Victory would see him claim a third consecutive term in office. The official results are expected later today. The far-right British politician who infamously led Brexit is making a comeback. Nigel Farage says he's igniting a dull UK general election campaign and will head up the Reform Party. Europe correspondent Ashley Mullaney reports.
It was a dramatic political comeback for Nigel Farage today, announcing that he will be running for a seat in Parliament as leader of the Reform Party. Farage came in like a wrecking ball for the Tories today, hoping to scoop up some of the Conservative right-wing voters that are fed up with Rishi Sunak and his government. It's come on a day of terrible polling for the Tories too. They are facing a once-in-a-century wipeout. Nigel Farage says, in his words, this has been one of the dullest campaigns and he's coming in to shake things up.
What I'm really calling for, and what I intend to lead, is a political revolt. Yes, a revolt. A turning of our backs on the political status quo. It doesn't work. Nothing in this country works anymore. We are in decline. This will only be turned around with boldness.
Farage is a long-term friend and ally of Donald Trump. His new campaign video today had a very familiar slogan saying, "Let's make Britain great again."
CommSec will have your afternoon share market update next. Then strawberries about to get a whole lot more expensive and inflation has nothing to do with it. Plus, personalised vaccines give melanoma patients a fighting chance at survival. It's 18 degrees in Cronulla. Sydney's full forecast soon.
The new chronic pain plan. 5 surprising trigger points you never knew you needed to treat. Plus, instant savings at the checkout. The new rewards points offers for Aussie supermarket shoppers. Start with Sunrise tomorrow morning. On 7 News, from science fiction to science fact.
This technology could change the world.
Just look what they've been building.
The market for robotics is absolutely exploding at the moment.
You won't believe what they can do now.
And there's huge advances in technology.
On 7 News with Mark Ferguson at 6.
The prices of strawberries at the supermarket are set to rise as Queensland growers suffer through one of the wettest starts to the season. Persistent rain and disease has resulted in a shortage of plants. The president of the state's Growers Association warns the cost of a punnet will spike dramatically. The Sunshine State is the country's largest producer of the fruit. Mining and energy stocks were a drag on the market today. Here's Laura Bezarati from CommSec.
It was a bit of an uninspiring session today, with the Aussie market ending lower by 24 points, or about 1/3%, and ending around the worst levels of the day. Today, lower commodity prices were the main theme, which saw energy producers under some pressure after oil prices slumped by 3.5% overnight on demand concerns after some of the largest oil-producing nations extended their supply cuts. Miners also had a rough session after iron ore fell sharply overnight, so we did see some of the larger players like BHP and Fortescue adding weight, but the good news is gains across some of the other sectors of our market helped to offset bigger declines. The major banks helped, and so did some of the healthcare stocks, including CSL and Ramsay Healthcare. Finally, the Aussie dollar currently buys 66.6 US cents.
Sydney's 6pm news is coming up with Mark Ferguson. Mark, what's on the program?
Yeah, good afternoon, Ange. Tonight, exclusive details on the rort costing taxpayers billions of dollars. At 6, NDIS providers accused of dangerous and lavish spending, ripping off the system and people in need. How they're doing it and what the money's being spent on. The rap sheet of one of Sydney's worst criminals reveals, shockingly, he's only 12 years old. Dozens of arrests, hundreds of charges. What's being done to stop the cycle? Inside the cars, driving into the path of a landslide, incredible pictures as boulders and debris come tumbling down, how everyone survived as their vehicles were crushed. The future arrives early. See the incredible robots with an AI brain included. The plans to make sure they help us rather than harm us. We take you inside the factory that could help change the world. And one more sleep until Origin, and Sydney is more than ready. From the coach and players to the stadium and fans, we've got plenty for Blues supporters tonight. And all that and much more, 7 News tonight at 6 o'clock.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Mark. A vaccine that can be used to fight skin cancer has halved the rate of melanoma coming back and even death, according to clinical trials. The vaccine, created by US company Moderna, is unique to the patient and created from a sample of their tumour. Australian of the Year Professor Georgina Long is working on the study, hailing it the next penicillin moment in cancer treatment. Next in 7's Afternoon News, Angie Asimus is back with your latest forecast.
Good afternoon, Andrew Pinomo here in the Freedom Traffic Chopper. We're seeing some peak hour traffic in Balcombe Hills for the M2 travelling west towards the M7 merge. Those delays back into the Epping Tunnel. Right now, not too bad over the main deck of the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the CBD. A busy run southbound after that if you're heading into the city on the Western Distributor. Absolutely everything is on sale at Freedom. Get 20 to 60% off all furniture, including sofas, dining, outdoor bedroom and mattresses store-wide. Sale on now, only at Freedom.
Tonight, NDIS rorts exposed, claims that money's being used to buy drugs, alcohol and holidays. The Sydney school under fire over an anti-Captain Cook song. Cruises cancelled, the end of an era for an iconic brand. Stadium transformation as Sydney gears up for Origin. And superhuman robots that could change the world. That's at 6.
Angie's back with the forecast, and Ange, the wet weather is about to return.
Ange, good afternoon. Yes, it's a partly cloudy evening with that cloud cover to thicken tomorrow, leading to widespread rainfall. We enjoyed sunny breaks throughout the day, though. The top was 18 degrees, but it felt a few degrees cooler than that out in those westerlies. A weak ridge of high pressure dominated New South Wales today, bringing those fine conditions, while a weak trough inland will move further east this evening and tomorrow. That, combined with a new trough and low off the south coast, will impact our weather. We are expecting unsettled conditions across much of the state. Around the capitals, Canberra will be right in the middle of that change, rain increasing, a top of 14 degrees. Melbourne is looking overcast as well, 15. Hobart partly cloudy, aiming for 15 degrees. Adelaide settled and a top of 18. Perth 23 with clear skies. Darwin 33 degrees. Brisbane aiming for 22 under mostly sunny skies. Back in the CBD, minimums will be back into double digits, so slightly warmer with that cloud cover, 10 degrees to start the morning, a top of 20, that is above average, but it won't feel overly warm. It's going to be cloudy with showers developing from late morning, those showers tending to rain during the evening. All up, we could see up to 10 millimetres, so nothing too heavy. Now, to the week ahead, that rain eases back to showers for Thursday, but the showers do continue into Friday and Saturday. The next sunny day is going to be Sunday, so at least we get to finish off the weekend with some fine weather, and that sets up for a settled start to the working week as well. I will have more weather details at 6 o'clock, Angie.
I like your positive spin. Thank you, Angie. And that is Sydney's 4pm news for this Tuesday. Mark Ferguson will bring you 7 News at 6. I'm Angela Cox. Stay with 7 Now for the Chase Australia. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.
Stream 7 News live and on demand on 7plus and stay informed on 7news.com.au. Nobody knows news